an examination of Trump's legal authority regarding D.C. amidst his threat of federal intervention. August 2025. As former President Donald Trump once again captures public attention, this time by threatening a federal intervention in Washington, D.C., questions arise regarding the scope of legal authority a U.S. president holds over the Capitol. Trump's recent remarks, expressing dissatisfaction with the city's management of crime and governance, have sparked speculation about the possibility of his direct involvement in the district's affairs should he be re-elected in 2024. This article provides an in-depth analysis of the legal framework that governs presidential power in the District of Columbia, as well as the requirements for a federal takeover to occur. The distinct status of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is classified as a federal district rather than a state, established by the Constitution to function as the seat of the federal government. This designation grants Congress ultimate authority over the city as outlined in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution. In essence, while D.C. possesses a local government, Congress maintains the right to supersede its decisions and legislation. In 1973, Congress enacted the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, which permitted D.C. to elect a mayor and city council to oversee its local matters. Nevertheless, Congress still holds the power to review and nullify local laws, manage the city's budget, and even dissolve the home rule government entirely. The President's legal authority over D.C. Although Congress wields the most direct legal authority over D.C., the President can influence several critical areas, especially concerning law enforcement, national security, and emergencies. 1. Command of the D.C. National Guard. Unlike state governors, who command their respective National Guards, the President of the United States has direct control over the D.C. National Guard. This grants the President the ability to deploy it without requiring a request from local officials, as Trump did in June 2020 during the protests that followed George Floyd's death. 2. Emergency powers. In situations of crisis, the President has the authority to invoke the Insurrection Act, which permits the deployment of federal troops to restore order, even if it contradicts the preferences of local authorities. Reports indicate that Trump contemplated this option during the protests of 2020, but ultimately chose not to implement it. 3. Department of Justice Oversight. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, who is tasked with prosecuting federal crimes within the city, is a federal official appointed by the President. Although D.C. has its own Attorney General for local issues, serious criminal cases and numerous prosecutions are processed through this federal office, thereby granting the executive branch considerable influence over law enforcement priorities. 4. Federal law enforcement agencies. Agencies such as the FBI, Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, and the Department of Homeland Security operate extensively within D.C. and are under the President's jurisdiction. In specific situations, the President could enhance their roles or coordinate their actions without requiring local consent. What a federal takeover could legally look like. Despite the strong rhetoric, a complete federal takeover of D.C. governance would necessitate action from Congress, rather than solely from the President. The President does not possess the power to unilaterally dissolve the City Council or remove the mayor. However, should Trump be re-elected and supported by a Congress willing to limit D.C.'s autonomy, the legal framework allows for: suspend elements of home rule, impose federal oversight on certain agencies, redirect federal funding or law enforcement priorities, override local policies considered misaligned with federal interests. Even without resorting to these extreme actions, a Trump administration could increase federal engagement in local matters, particularly concerning crime, immigration enforcement, and public demonstrations. Any assertive federal intervention in D.C. governance would almost certainly encounter legal challenges, as well as considerable political opposition.